Test. So today is Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025, our regular council meeting. If you would, please stand with us for a prayer and pledge. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Collins.
Everybody bow your head, please. Dear Heavenly Father, excuse me, folks. Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over the council here. Be in the room here with us so we can make good decisions. We need your help. Absolutely, we need your help to make the right decisions for the community. Please watch over our country and our county, and please be with the people that are needing your healing hand. Thank you for everything, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. May I have your seat? All right. First up this evening, is there public comments or anything that's not listed on the agenda? I know Nick Olis is requesting to be added to it, and we already sent this out, but is anybody here to make a comment or anything? Yes, sir.
My name is Dwayne Wheatley. I moved up here recently last year. I've been following the council meetings, the commissioners meetings, the Scottsburg council meetings.
Yes.
I just see a lot of dysfunction in the government, especially with this lawsuit. I'm sure you're all aware of the sheriff put out a thing on YouTube today, or Facebook.
Sure.
And so I'm just here, wanting to know a little bit more. I've heard his side, and I'd like to hear your guys' side on what happened, how much this lawsuit cost the county, and did the sheriff win the lawsuit?
So I think all of those are absolutely valid questions, and I respect you for being a citizen and being involved. It is on the agenda, and I hope to get to it. If you want to hang out or so you can hear if you got somewhere to be.
Well, I'm retired, so.
Okay. I will burn through this other stuff, and we'll get to that, and I will try to answer all the questions. If I don't, feel free to chime back in. If you have something, I'll answer them, if that's fair. Anybody else have anything else? If not, let's start with Brittany. We'll get Russ out of here, and then we'll do a amendment and get Nick in here somewhere after Kevin. How are you, man?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
Do you have your molding again?
I don't know what I got.
It sounds tight, so you might want to get that checked out.
It comes and goes.
So Brittany's got some requests on some grant funds that she had. We need to do some transfers within those lines to give her the ability to use those grant funds before the expiration date of them. Do you want to talk about which ones they are or where they are?
Yes, we had 3 that we were gonna move from public health nurse, pay, but we can't move those now. The pay was not taken out properly out of the beginning of the account. So I thought there was more money in there than there was. So we can't move those. But there are 2 on the immunization grant and 1 on the preparedness grant that were advertised for that we need to move. So it's 9182. And we're gonna move $3,030 from 42000, which is equipment, to 32000, which is printing and advertising. And then we're gonna move from 42000 equipment, $10,800 to 21,700, which is medical supplies. And then, do you want me to lump the preparedness one in with that, or do you do them separate? Or
How's the resolution?
That's what I was gonna say. Is that the only ones you wanted from the 9182 fund? I'm gonna let you look at this
Yeah.
and make sure
Yeah, those
that's
other,
correct. If
those
the 2
other
are checked,
3
there's
we
which one.
can't do, yeah.
And then I have a separate one here.
Yes, these we can't, the top 2 we can't do. You're right, the bottom 2 are the ones that we need to do
Okay.
today, yes. And then is that the
This is the
preparedness one
second
probably?
one, I think. Let's look at that one. So we will modify this on that one.
Yep, this is the preparedness, so it is 9193, and this is the base, so it is location 9502. we're gonna move, from 31300, which is travel, $1,473.81 to 21600, which is general supplies, preparedness supplies. Thanks.
What's that total again?
The total,
Yeah, no, the 14 what?
1473.81.
That's resolution 30. Is that- I think that would be our next resolution. Okay. JR's gonna need that, John.
Thank you. So the first one is resolution 2025-3, and that is the one where we're omitting the public health nurse move and using the equipment to printing and advertising and equipment to medical supplies. The first is the $3,030, the second is the $10,800 on this resolution. I would entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion. Accept.
Second it.
John Lisby has made a motion to accept as read with John Collins with the second. Any questions or comments from council members? All in favor? Any opposed? And
Is that 7-0?
yes, ma'am. Sorry about that. Right, I'm just gonna make a pile down there.
That'd be
You're good
great.
with that. You got one more for me there? The second one she talked about was on resolution 2025-4. It is a transfer of the preparedness supplies on $1,473.81 from travel to preparedness. I was an entertain a motion to accept.
Make a motion to transfer.
Jonathan White makes the motion with Justin Cheatham. Second, any questions or comments from council members on the transfer? All in favors? Any opposed? Same sign. 7-0 on that as well.
No, probably not,
Is there anything we need to do with
because
that?
this grant ends June 30th, so I'm kind of out of time. So,
Is there anything we need to do with that other stuff, or it's just?
no, it's just, I mean, we'll just have a little bit left that we'll have to send back, which is unfortunate. I'm trying to do everything.
All right, thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Mr. Coomer, you were up. Okay, sorry, Russ.
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 I think
Z.
most of you know me. I'm Russ Comer. I'm with West Banco Bank. Been there for 4 years, the vice president. I brought with me my expert, Lauren Shawley, with West Banco Bank. I think most of you have seen this, but we've got a new product out that I think will help the county. I know every day we're seeing check fraud at the bank. People are recreating checks with these nice copy machines. It's costing businesses, governments lots of money. This will also help with efficiencies and streamline processes. And with that, I'm going to throw over my.
Wherever you want.
Okay, sure. So this is a purchasing card, if you all have heard of that in the past, or anything, or a multi-card. Basically, it's a credit card for your company, so for the county. And you can pay vendors through that. You can also issue credit cards. So a lot of times they'll have one administrator. You can use a single sign-on through online banking, and it'll flow straight through the credit card. On there, you can actually issue certain limits per individual that has a card. I'm not sure if you all generally have a credit card currently, and you can limit purchases and you can limit where people can utilize the credit card as well. So you can only gas stations, only that there's limiting for it. Generally, the balance is paid off each month and pulled from the account, and there's additionally a rebate that you will earn on just paying the bills that you would normally pay. So we have usually request to get a vendor match list of the past 12 months of anybody you've paid by check or ACH, any way that the county's paid any bills in the past 12 months. And then we run that list and match who will accept a credit card. Then we're able to show you that and show you what the percentage is, and you can look at what bills you could change to paying this way. There's also a virtual card. So if you pay payments monthly to certain vendors, you can actually issue them a virtual card, and then each month you can go back in and reload that. So say it's $1,000 this month, put 1,000 on it. But then you can go back in next month, if it's 12,000, you can change that amount, and then that vendor already has that payment. So it makes a bit more of an ease of making payments, and then you actually additionally get a rebate. Now, this card is different and unique than we've had in the past because it is by West Banco. So Russ on the credit portion of that would assist in underwriting the credit. And then we would be there to assist if there were any questions or,
Tell them the cost.
there's nothing, there's no cost. As long as payments are made and they're made on time, there's zero cost to you. There's no annual fee.
If they're not paid on time, though, there'd be some kind of fee.
Yes.
And that happens sometimes.
Yeah, but we pull the
No
payment directly
fault
from
of
the account.
anybody's, it just happens.
They pull the payment directly out of the account, so there should be no late payment.
Okay. All right.
So let's say somebody has a card in their possession and it gets lost, stolen, whatever, how big of a problem is it to correct that?
The administrator can log in right at that time and cancel that card in real time. They can also, if someone has a $1,000 limit and they're at the store and you need to up it, they can up it and in real time it's changed.
One of the nice things that I saw, I know you guys go to conventions and whatever, she can issue virtual cards. If you want James to go to the councilman's convention, he can take a virtual card, you have to have a piece of plastic with it.
And anywhere that accepts that.
Explain a virtual card.
Sure, so it's like a card number. So you're sending a card on the spot to someone. So if they can send it through the system, it's issued to you. You will receive an email with it in there, and it's a virtual card number. It's different each time. So no one, because of the fraud, to mitigate against that as much as we can, we see it all the time. You can then, anywhere that accept credit cards, can enter that number and accept your payment for the amount.
Who decides who gets a card? Is that us, commissioners?
Yes, that's
Yes.
And there can be more. So if one person is the administrator, they can add others to administer and utilize for those purchases.
And the administrator can let somebody here also log in and see what's being spent. And that's what you all want.
Can you have them on different accounts? Because there's a lot of the counties that different accounts than just a general account. So can it be on the different accounts with the same envelope with the same credit card?
Would be, are you wanting to pull from different accounts and like build a hierarchy
Excuse me, John.
in the
You
system?
almost have it for different departments.
If that's how you would like it, we can build that.
I mean, it's just, yeah, okay.
And we can set limits for each.
Well, I've got one through my way, so I like it, so.
Yes, you know what it's like, yes. And it also works with other things that concur. So if someone is out and needs to take a picture of their receipts to document that, you can work through whatever you all may want to use. And it'll work seamless.
You got any questions, Jennifer? No, it would impact.
I think it
your
could be
office.
very helpful, and especially like we were talking where people travel, that's getting increasingly more difficult to send somebody that you've pre-authorized. There's a lot of paperwork you've got to send. If they don't get there, sometimes we don't have it. And then we also at the end of last year was running into that we had not overdrafts, but we didn't have room on the card to send people to conferences when they wanted to go. So that ability to change the amounts and do a virtual card for different people would be fantastic.
And when they're at these conventions, you can limit where they spend the money.
Exactly.
You've got the control.
Well, I know from my full-time employment, we had an issue with reserving hotel rooms and then have to have that particular card to prove the employee. So that would maybe eliminate some of that
Get
problem for
much
you
more
as well.
difficult.
Without throwing you off, Randy, you got any question? I know it would impact you guys too, because we would have to work together if we went to something like this, but
I think it's a great idea because I see a lot of safeguards.
right. That's what I like about it, is I think it's a lot better for the fraud
Well,
standpoint.
and keep in mind the check fraud, that's only going to grow.
Exactly.
So we can convert you guys over to this, they're written checks. It's gonna save you money.
Yeah.
Certainly can.
Who are
we going to hire?
these admin responsibilities on and stuff?
That would be something probably chosen at their level, because they would have to enter into the contract, sign someone as an administrator. I would think we would just be the ones to agree to it through the funding side. Wouldn't you think?
That's
That would be-
right.
It would be, probably the commissioner board would have to determine who was administrators of such, because the cards are entered into
They need
the
it.
agreement by them now.
They'll have to give us a resolution.
Yeah.
Commissioners will.
And we'd have to do a contract.
Yeah.
And then it would go to you guys to decide who would be getting the cards.
Well, I appreciate the information. I think it's definitely something we need to, maybe talk about jointly with the commissioners and Jennifer and see what we need to do, and we'll get with you guys and
let us know what questions you come up, let us know comments. If you have concerns and don't like something, I need to know that too.
I mean, so far it seems a lot better than a check or
It is.
sending a credit card. And, you know, poor Kevin back there has to run up here to get a credit card to go buy stuff sometimes. And I think that would be a lot less running around to get the job accomplished. So,
I know what, I talked to Ryan, some of the other guys probably did too, the treasurer, and he seemed to have some faith in it.
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's
Is this
behind it.
something we can have done by next month, one way or the other?
I mean, they would enter into the agreement, so it would be up to them if that's something they want to entertain looking at, or if you want to do a joint meeting and we all talk about it, we could do that. But,
Well, you'll have 2 meetings before you have your next one, so they would have the
Yeah.
opportunity to
I
vote
just-
on that.
we can't say yes or no. It's an agreement that has to come from, I mean, I would support this and I think it would be good. And if Jennifer thinks it's a good move for us personally, I would support it.
The concern is we have to have a contract, right?
Yes.
And that would go through them guys, yeah, commissioners, yeah. And then,
Much like the credit cards that the county has now, they hold the contracts on those.
what would happen to the credit card we have now?
I guess they will dissolve
We'll
them
dissolve them.
because they're currently through West Banco, I think. all the ones
Yeah,
we
Elon
have.
Financial Services, so.
We'll get rid of those and switch to this completely.
I'm like you, I mean, it sounds like an awful good idea, and it would keep everybody that's got something now, wouldn't lose anything,
Right.
and it would
And I
expand.
know some of your departments have one blanket card. I think the prosecutor.
He does,
And he
and
lets
Kevin
other
does.
people, and this way you can issue those virtual cards, so it's one person. And you control that one person.
And you guys would come in and surprise sit down with Jennifer here and help her get started on it, I assume it'd run to you, makes sense.
And what's nice, internally, I've got Lauren and 2 other people in case Lauren's on vacation, that it's always available.
Like vacations. We gotta get this taken.
You don't want Russ, JR.
But I appreciate you guys coming in tonight and giving us the information, and I will be in contact with the commissioners and see if we can't work together and make this move. I'm sure it'll be a big move for our county, but I think it's a good move in the right direction to mitigate fraud and chances of fraud and overspending in areas. So I appreciate your time very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Russ.
All right. Kevin, you're up next, bud.
Hello, Kevin.
How are you?
Going, I'm doing all right. I got a couple of additionals here I'd like to talk about. The first one's on fuel. Lori and I just kind of went through on what we spent, kind of prediction on what we're going to spend going forward. I think our main round on fuel is our mowing. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 and about 6 cuttings is what we got planned. And just that alone is going to be $44,928. So that's about 60% of our fuel budget that we've allotted this year. So that's before we put any fuel in the first dump trucks.
Yeah.
Just kind of predicting where we think we'll be at. We think we're going to be at least 25,000 shy towards the end of the year.
Which we use more in the early part of the year than what we normally do with the snow and stuff,
We
right?
did. And
I mean, I think that's a huge,
And it's more just trying to jump ahead. Honestly, I'm not saying we are going to run out, but just we've got to go on by how much we're spending and trending. And it's like, yeah, we're going to run out. So that's just where we're at with it. I mean, we can wait a while, but just with the length of how long it takes to get everything done, we were trying to get ahead of it. I'm pretty confident we're not going to have enough fuel money.
I got you.
So,
When would you have to know?
Or are they combined?
These two,
I mean,
these are done as additionals out of there.
I'm sorry, yeah.
So I've got 33, but that's for the equipment. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, we can do that. That's what
Let's say we'll do
25,000.
34. And then you've got the equipment repair. You had that for 25,000 as well.
as far as the fuel, John, it just kind of, I don't really know. It keeps trending that way. The only bad thing is you got to re-advertise every time.
well, that's what I was trying to figure with it.
In all reality, that's what we had in the 2024 year. We kind of cut that some this year, so we're just spending the same.
But you feel
Same
confident
money.
25,000 enough?
Yeah, I think that's gonna do it, because we didn't quite run that last year. And we run more this year, with like JR said, we run more winter
Okay.
operations this year than we did the year before.
And that comes out of your,
And we had transferred some money for equipment repair out of that, so I do believe 25.
that comes out of one of your funds,
Yeah,
which work.
it'll come out of 1176.
1176, both of those are.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the equipment repair, because that's actually gonna be the ordinance before. that.
Okay, me,
I think I'm good with that. If we need questions here in a minute, I'll jump back to that.
slide it around.
The ordinance 2025-33 is a request for an additional appropriation in the amount of 25,000 for the highway department coming from highway funds out of the 1176 for equipment repair, which will cover
So this is kind of one of the same, sit down with, our mechanic, Lori, kind of seeing where we're trending on what we're fixing. This just shows a handful of things that we got coming up. I'll briefly go through it there. We got a couple of transmission problems with our freight liners, so, and this is just forecasted numbers. These ain't hard numbers. These are just things that we think, we know is coming, but kind of what we think. Freightliner transmissions, we're thinking a couple thousand at least. I'll put our loader bucket on there because it has to be refurbished before the next winter operations.
Is that for the cutting edge on it?
Yeah, it's falling off. Salt spreader, we got a salt spreader for pickup. I got quoted $4,000 for repair. New motor, new slip clutch. We can buy a whole new unit for $6,500. So
Which is
it's probably
chain
time
hopper and all.
Yeah, with the chain hopper and all. So it's probably be best off just to replace it and.
I mean, in all honesty,
So, yeah.
knowing what I know, I didn't mean to cut you off,
Yeah.
but knowing what I know about them for 2,500, if you had to replace the chain and a couple pieces of sheet metal, you'd be out way more than that.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the things we're looking for winter operations. Bottom end of the Massey, which we've already honestly started putting that back together, but we're thinking around 3,500 total bill for that. Everything on it, the spindle's expensive. Bobcat, the little Bobcat we got, I don't know if any of y'all have seen it, but it's got some electrical issues that we like to use it for winter operations because it's rubber tires and we don't want to put the tracks of the cat in the salt, so. My cleats are about gone on the 308 excavator. And the bottom one is just kind of the open one. Plow replacement and repair. We just put a generic number down there. I mean, honestly, one plow is $7,000, at least. But, last year, 3 of our trucks, in all honesty, they're parking lot plows. If you want to get right down to it, we had them ratchet strapped up, boomed up, chained up, and everything else to try to plow down the road because they just fold over when they get any kind of pressure. Because really, they're made for a lower speed in a parking lot. What I kind of, just for the lack of just trying to go in real lightly, is like, well, maybe if we replace one, and we definitely like to do it where if we upgrade trucks, we could take that plow setup and put it on the new truck because, I think plow's gonna be good for 20 plus years. The plow would outlast the truck. So I just kind of, instead of coming in trying to go for $30,000 worth of plows, it was kind of like, well, we take our worst one, replace it, and go. But that one doesn't have to be done. We got by. It kind of is what it is.
But it's a roll of the dice because we never know what we're gonna get, and I mean, another 6 or 8 inch snow would put you in a pickle. So
Yeah, this is just our forecast of things we've seen for winter operations that we're trying to get.
I personally appreciate you being ahead, looking ahead, and coming in and talking to us before we're in the middle of snow and have to buy a plow and then figure out how to pay for it.
And that's what we're trying to avoid is.
What kind of questions do I have on the equipment repairs?
Really nothing. I assume the numbers you gave are guesstimates, I think.
They're
You probably-
forecast. They're close.
You guessed enough to make sure it wouldn't be
We tried to
more,
guess
it
on
wouldn't
the
be
high
more
side.
than that.
The only thing that's close is the plow.
Okay.
because it's kind of across the board. But I think we can come in
These are safe
in that
numbers.
range, yeah.
I'm good.
So I would entertain a motion to accept ordinance 2025-33 coming from the highway funds, an additional appropriation of $25,000 in total for equipment repairs.
I'll make that motion.
John Miller's made the motion. John Lisenby with the second.
The other John?
Johns. Too many Johns. With the second, any other questions or comments from council members? All in favor? Signify by aye. Any opposed? And it's on 6-0 on that.
The only other quick thing I want to talk to you about, kind of on the same token as this, to try to get ahead of the game. So we burnt through pretty well all our salt last year in mountain ascenders, and we're down pretty bad on it. I would like to try to maybe get, I think our budget was 20,000 last year. I was hoping maybe to get additional 20,000 for the, now that we could go get the supplies in fall, late summer. And we could probably zero that out for the 26 year, like if we could buy now instead of trying to buy in January, in our budget.
So what you're saying is the 20,000 we normally budget for 26 year,
Yeah.
do that as an additional in 25 so you can buy beforehand. And
Yeah, so we can buy beforehand.
Okay.
We used more last year.
Well, and
We used
you and I
since I've been here
talked
by
several
far.
times, and I mean, the price drastically changed once the flakes started flying.
Yeah, and then we ended up in Indy trying to get stuff,
We did too.
and it kind of gets.
And I think I've trucked some from Chicago, so.
Yeah,
So an additional from where?
it'll come straight out of our highway fund.
The highway fund.
Yeah,
Do you want to make a note to advertise that for July?
and I'll send it officially to you.
If you could do
I just
that,
want to
that'd be
talk to
great.
you about it because I mean, if you went for it, it is what it is. We just wait, but
I think it's smart to do.
but I'll send it to you. Tell you what we need.
That
Where it's
helps me
coming
a
from, and
lot.
all that.
The other ordinance he had was 2025-34. That was for the fuel that we talked about. That actually comes from the 1176 Highway Gas and Oil Fund, the amount of $25,000, which he said he thinks will get him through the end of the year.
I'd make a motion.
John White has made the motion. John Miller with the second. Any questions or comments? All in favor? 6-0 on that. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
Next up, do you wanna, I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to get Nick up here. John Miller's made the motion, second by Elizabeth. All in favor of the amendment? 6-0 on that. Nick, you up? All right, both.
You just voted for that.
This is what you're looking for.
He's gonna ask for any.
Yeah, and if you get the
For salt.
question and answer tab up top that's floating across, it's gonna be the same. Yeah, it should be there. So the first thing that I handed out is also displayed on the TV over there, if you can't read that. I'm passing those. Main reason I'm here is I've talked to the treasurer and Jennifer the last couple days. And what's getting passed around right now, the first page is the same thing you see on the computer screen. The second is going to be our cash ledger and then a balance by month for this year. Started the year with 1.22 and we're currently sitting at 1.23. And that's also including expenditures from June, which is not on here because June's not complete. But if you look on the back page, you can see our expenditures versus receipts to show we've only had, as far as the months are concerned, one negative month and the rest have all been positive growth months. I'm trying to anticipate the future of what may be happening with my budget and looking at some ways to potentially gain some of what I potentially could be losing back. So the the treasurer and Jennifer had talked to me about this Trust Indiana. And from talking with Ryan, our bank account is separate from general and all of that. So the bank account and this trust are linked, meaning you can have real-time transfers in it to where if I ever got in a pickle, I could go to Ryan and be like, hey, I need $100K transferred from the trust back to our bank, and it kind of flows between. But what I'm looking at requesting, what Ryan needs is just something in the minutes is, like I said, you can see on that back page, we've gained 70,000 over the course of the year. I don't want to transfer all of it or put all of it in this trust, but I'd like to take, 3/4 of it and put it in this trust to start accruing interest. That way, if I can accrue enough to make a monitor payment or a truck payment a year, that's going to help me out. Right, the last time I looked, the percentage was at like 4.39. So, I mean, if I can put 750,000 in this account, put some interest on that, for most of the year. And if I have, if I've got my truck payments and monitor payments, I'll hit that once. I can go, hey, I need 100,000 moved, and I can make those payments type deal. But I'd still like to keep double what I'm spending a month, which I'm averaging. It looks like my expenditures are averaging right at 200,000 a month. So I'd like to keep 400,000 or 500,000 in our liquidity bank account, and then put the rest into that trust so I can start accruing some interest on it. And, I don't know the benefit, besides having the money, of just keeping it in there and not gaining any accrual on, $1.3 million.
So from what I know, the Trust Indiana it's ran by the state of Indiana. It's open to municipalities, government entities for just that, for the ability to invest money and gain some revenue off of money who otherwise would just be sitting in wait. I think that's something that this county should have been doing long ago, and we haven't, and I don't really know why. So, with the help of Ryan and the treasurer's office, I know we began that at a county level, and I totally support you with, you doing the same. And I like the ability that you can get your money that is in there at any time with no penalty. You can move it back if you need it. But the benefit is having that ability of whatever's there of growing a little bit of interest. So I think that's
and there's no penalty for the withdrawal. Like you said, you can transfer as many times. There's no transfer limits. The amount in which we deposit or take out is not capped, and that's all covered on that page. But I'm just, like I said, if I can gain an extra 60 or 70,000 on interest, that's a truck payment.
right.
And that'll help me tremendously with just anticipating the future.
So, I know we might have some questions for you, but
Yep.
what do you need from us? Do you need a resolution?
According to Ryan, there just needs to be something in the minutes that you are giving me the ability to tell him how much and when and where I want moved.
Gotcha.
Ultimately, you can still see the money and where it's at. He would control, and that's the thing, is I could actively see my account, but I could not control any of it. To move any from one place to the other, it would have to go through him, which is fine. It's just, and he just needs something that gives me the ability to go to him and say, hey, I want to transfer 800,000 out of here into this trust and let it sit.
You still have access to it just as normal.
Yeah, they're wired together. It's not an instant transaction, but we're not waiting days either, to where that would be. And, fortunately for us, 98% of our accounts are on a net 30, to where if, something happened, we would have that 30 days it's not going to take that long to transfer. But that's why I was kind of wanting, the way that our stuff is working is, I'm spending an average of 200,000 a month, but I'm bringing in an average of 225 to 230. But I only get those deposits once a month that are hitting. So I don't want to completely just keep what I'm spending in there. I'd like to keep double to have some movement ability. That way I'm not getting close to that draw line of
But moving it just makes you more money.
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if I if I take 800,000 and put it in this trust, it's going to gain interest monthly on that 800,000 and whatever we gain interest on.
Seems logical to me.
At the end of the year, I can transfer everything into that trust, into the bank account, including the interest, and then, January 10th, start the whole process over. But you don't get the money that you accrue on the interest until you withdraw it, and I'd like to keep as much in there as we can. So it'd be one of those things that towards the end of the year, I'd like to do a full withdrawal, put it in there, see where we're at, look at what our budget is next year, look at what we spent where, move the correlating money over and kind of reset. But I don't want to keep it in there through the end of the year because I don't know where we're going to land, closing books.
I say yes.
I'll make a motion that
So James Ritchie is making a motion to allow Nick the ability to invest money via the treasurer's office with Trust Indiana. A second from Jonathan White. Any other questions or comments from council? All in favor of that?
Well, do you have something?
I was gonna say, yes, I think we should have the amount in there, and you were requesting 750,000, right?
It's
So
gonna
maybe
be
up
what
to
it's
that
gonna be.
amount.
It's gonna be dependent on how much is sitting.
My only worry was.
Do you think we need a number though?
Well, I think you might not need what your starting number might be.
Can we just do a max of $1 million?
Okay,
Is that okay
or
with you
whatever
guys?
they wanna do, but I think we all probably have a number that.
That's fine.
Well, I think we need to vote on it again, so I'll make that motion.
John just wants to have a
record
record
for motion for the
year.
year.
If we can just cap it at $1 million, and that way I've got some wiggle room to, like I said, I think we're sitting at 1.28 or 6 right now. So, and we'll be at 1.48 here in a couple of days, so I just want to keep that liquidity.
With the ability capped at $1 million for 2025. Any other questions or comments, changes to this? All in favor? Any opposed, same sign, 6-0 on that.
The only other thing I've got.
Oh, here we go.
It is. Next month I'll be coming to you to start the old people's favorite time of truck discussions for the following year. However, hold on, I got good news.
Oh.
We picked up our truck that we bought last year. We picked it up last week. Talked to our dealer owner and all that stuff. We've done enough business with them now that they're willing to allow us to commit to a purchase of a truck with no money down obligation, and gives us the ability to secure a spot with no financial obligation until 90 days out from the delivery date, with no penalty if we cancel.
Are we still a year out on the truck?
We're 19 to 26 months, so depending on the vendor. So that's why we're looking at a 20.
With the ambulances, when you put that down payment in a year in advance, does it shave any off the price though?
No.
Okay.
So we were having to usually put like 10% down to secure
Gotcha.
the build unit. They're willing to waive that, and they'll put in there that there's no opt-out fee. There's none of that. Pretty much we have to give them 90 days notice that we're going to cancel. And if we don't give them that 90 days, then we're committed within those 90 days to purchase. But I think that's good considering, again, the situation that we could be in next year, to commit to something without having to,
And the commit would be 26, the build 27.
the commit would be this year, and then the delivery date would be 27,
Spring 27, probably.
January, February 27. So just wanted to bring that up, but that's kind of what I'll be.
You want to shoot us an email? We'll
Yep.
be on it, and then-
Sure will.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Thanks.
Andrew, you're up.
What do you want to talk about first?
Going home.
Huh?
Going home.
The
It doesn't matter, whatever you want.
computer upgrades is pretty much just an update from kind of you guys to see where we're at money talk wise, and see if we made any more progress on obtaining funds.
So I do know a timeline and I guess the question, we're gonna jump around a little bit here, is, Jennifer, do we still have to do the judgment bond thing for 25, do you think, or?
We've still got 2.1 million. as of right now. Tonight, if you take out the computers, give me a second here, I've got it figured out. If you take out the computers, you're still at 1.9 something.
And I guess I get confused on this because just a couple of months ago, I remember asking and you said we wasn't gonna make it to the end of 25, so we started all the timeline of a judgment
I
bond.
never said that on the general. Now, the lit special purpose and the lit public safety.
Which they're going away anyways, right? Because of Senate Bill 1. Has to be whatever.
It's gonna be reworked. I don't know
Reworked
what's
somehow.
exactly happening.
And we don't know what that's gonna look like yet
No, we don't.
from Baker Tilly, right? Which I don't think, not just we don't, and this is where your question kind of comes in and it gets really confusing because many municipalities and government entities in Indiana are kind of in limbo right now, waiting on financial advisors, which ours for this county currently is the Baker Tilly team that we pay a substantial amount of money for. But the changes with Senate Bill 1, they can't give us our normal, every year we get projected income or revenue rates around this time of year. We're a little early, but around this time of year. And usually at any point in the year, we can call them and say, hey, what is our 26 year gonna look like? And they would say, well, you're within, give or take 7 to 10% of what you got last year, and you can kind of know how to look. Which kind of leads to what Nick was talking about with his budget. And tying all this in is like, they can't give us anything right now. Because from what I understand, anybody correct me if I'm wrong, whenever they took Senate Bill 1, put that into their algorithm to spit out your number for next year, it didn't work. And it tells them that it isn't gonna work because we don't bring in enough property tax revenue, which is now being cut. So then you have to change, which is the largest change in 50 plus years in Indiana for taxing. On top of that, we did have a mandate from the sheriff to increase his budget, which this council did enter into an agreement on. And so trying to put all that together to even answer your question you had at the beginning is extremely difficult because I don't have any projections and I don't have anybody telling me what we're gonna bring in. And I think that puts Jennifer in an awkward position because
I don't know the same as anyone else, yeah.
we don't know. And it's very hard to sit here and make fiscally sound decisions on spending money, even though like Andrew has to have an answer on upgrading our computers by what, July, August to get
Deadline
them.
is October.
But
to
you gotta
have them
have them
upgraded.
done by then. So that's where we're kind of in a pickle. Now, I will say with hearing that we do have some funding available, I personally would advocate super hard for any employee who didn't get a raise last year to us figure out that number and get them in there. Because I think we've got some good employees in this county that are working and didn't get money when the mandate that we got did include money for all of those people. So if we're gonna pay them, then before I'm on board with spending money, I want to know that we can pay our employees because they mean a lot to me personally, and I think other people at this table personally. That's kind of where we're at in a nutshell. I know that's not a very good answer, and I apologize for that, but that's about where we're at. Is until I can get some solid numbers from a financial advisor point, I really can't tell you what 26 is going to look like. And it's difficult for a department head like, Kevin and Nick who's sitting here and Brittany who was here, I think she left, but like they're trying to start the process of figuring out their budget for next year. And I don't know what we can give them or what is going to be cut at this point to meet that because I have no idea what our county is going to bring in. So we are working very hard. I've been in contact with Jason Stemler from Baker Tilly, and I'm all but begging him to get something going and get us some numbers because I think
And
we
I've
have
heard
to have
nothing
that.
from any of them recently.
Yeah, I think we have to have that. So we do have we talked about out of town travel. We do have a conference coming up the 20th that we're gonna attend, and I'm hoping there's some answers there from the state level. It's gonna help us shed some light on how taxing and government is going to look moving forward. But I would say it's gonna look very much different than what any of us have ever seen in the past.
So on your note, you said October is the due date.
So that's
How
what,
long is it gonna take you to get the computers and get them up? in October?
so that's,
What time frame
so
on
that's
that?
what's bad. I mean, even if we have money appropriated, the amount way exceeds, just getting quotes. I'm gonna have to bid the project out, the wait time of them getting shipped, getting set up, then trying to beat the October deadline of having them deployed in the county and running. So
I'd say, what if we move the bids, go ahead and get those done? We know we're gonna do this some way, somehow.
I mean, I can go ahead
It's gonna have to
next
happen.
commissioners meeting and get that going, get that
Get that
started.
process started. And then
But
can you work on all of those employees who didn't get a raise, giving us some numbers on what it would cost to pay them
What are you looking at paying them?
equal to what was given in the mandate?
That's a lot.
I know it is, but that's what we did.
Just
for
say you're
one
at
department.
$2.137,901 is left in the general fund right now. If you appropriate everything that's been advertised for this meeting out of that, that's gonna leave you with $1,844,066.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the department heads who don't have the ability to mandate or sue the county for what they want, who stands up for them?
Well, I'm with you on that. I agree with you. We want to help our employees out and they all deserve it. But we got to see what our numbers is if we actually vote on that. So, but depending on what numbers are, we'll give what
And
we
that's
can.
that's why I'm asking, just if we could throw that together for the July meeting, he starts the bid process. I feel like that would move both of
Well, and
those things along.
that mandate money's not,
It's not taken out of this
Figure
either.
None of that either.
Which,
That's
It was about 400,000
about 400,000.
and then we also got to worry about emergencies that happen between now and,
in the end of the year.
of course, we have a little for that too, but
But then that's gonna set 26 with pretty much no reserve.
yeah, we got to,
I don't know.
I just say be careful with it. Let's do it while we
I
can.
think maybe a bonus instead of a raise.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe that's,
Yeah, that might be smarter than to see what you have at the end of the year.
What's that?
Do maybe a bonus at the end of the year for the people who need.
Something.
Something.
I don't know what, but we need to do something.
I agree. And I think that conversation needs to happen because we got a lot of people who come in here and work every day that they don't have the right to mandate this county to get what they want. So, let's start the bid process. Back to you. Sorry, I went a long route around, but
You're fine. I'm here all night.
if you can get with the commissioners, maybe start that bid process. And then I know that's gonna take a little bit, but beyond the shadow, any question, we have to buy computers. I mean, we have until October, and we can't wait until September to do it. So, with that, we'll start, just put on my notes, we're starting the bid process, and then we'll regroup this or revisit it maybe in July and see where we're at. Sound fair?
Sounds good. And the other thing on there, the opioid funds, we talked about that at the commissioner meeting. We kind of just pushed that off, so I'm not sure if I even want to go on with that or not, or if that's something that we.
Well, we can, they'll have to start it and
Gotcha.
then they can appropriate it if they want.
I think right at the end, we just said we can visit it next year, and I think we can just visit it next year. I'm not really worried about it, so.
I believe, it's covered, I believe.
You think, I mean,
Yeah, I do. I don't think that'll be a problem.
okay, I mean,
The only thing that would knock out is we had talked about, but it's never been put in paper, was to do the part-time driver, the part-time driver position for veteran services, that they were gonna use that for the driver over there, and then when they weren't driving, they would have them as an assistant in the building.
okay.
But I mean, it would knock that out, the unrestricted opioid.
Did we talk about-
Enough to, for
Did we-
3 years.
I think we're talking about starting it in 26 though, and not covering. Okay, so when we started the website for the county, we talked about doing the unrestricted funds of covering 3 years of maintenance. And I think that's when Deandra was here. We tossed it around. She left. I also forgot about it. We forgot about it.
Sometime, it was not attached to the ordinance that did the website, and we didn't do a second ordinance,
So I'm bringing it back up to see if it's a possibility. I went ahead and paid this year's maintenance. It's already submitted. It's done. So if we can start for 26, 27, and 28 to have
You get
that
a
paid.
discounted rate bond in 3.
No, it's an annual maintenance that we're gonna be paying as long as that website is running.
How much is that?
It is 52 or 54.
I was thinking 56, so. I
That's
thought
right at
$56 under
$5,400 a year.
Yeah, if you wanna, I guess you'll have to start that conversation with them, but they have 2 meetings between now and our next one, and then, see where that goes, and if they're willing to use that, then bring it back to us, and we'll go from there.
Gotcha.
Sound fair?
Sounds fair.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you for your help. Randy, Julie, you're up with the commissioners board.
And you know, the news was going to be here, I'm correct a little bit there.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
Next time I went through Dollar General and got me a clip-on tie. We can take one on. So, I want to thank Jennifer, first off, for helping me get all this back where we're at today. Me and her sat down and went through last minute numbers and make sure that everything was up to date.
So just for anybody watching, we're talking about the project ongoing at the transfer station where we purchased a set of scales, and we're making some changes out there that Randy's kind of headed up through the commissioner board and back to talk with us about any additional needed or where we stand on that project.
Okay. So basically where we're at right now is we have $28,975 left. The total cost after everything is $54,767.53. So what we need to get to that amount is a transfer from the disposal fee to, you want maintenance line, is that what it was?
Yeah, it went to the 4,200. It's not maintenance, it is the capital equipment, I think it is.
Okay. So asking for a transfer of $25,788.86. You currently have $75,000 in there now. And that is money that you guys put in there for disposal fees for Ecotech. You started off at $180,000.
140. 140. Is what we're doing there.
What was 180?
That's 100.
180 was with the Saxco pack.
Oh.
Is that what it was?
That's a separate. budget.
Yeah, that's a separate budget. I'm
Okay.
not a member of the council.
No, you're fine. I'm trying to just follow along, but I didn't want to post a number and then you say a different one and somebody be like, you're a liar.
I'm going off what I heard, but that might have been the two accounts
Okay.
connected.
All right.
I think we have been big to say that the transfer station costs us $180,000. I think we say that.
Maybe that's
just sort of, I think it's not necessarily budgeted that way, just been
Yeah,
around.
maybe you guys made additional appropriation. Either way, so I'm asking for a $25,788.86 transfer. Now, that takes care of the scales and everything with the scales. All right. Some of what come out of my budget was the, on the back of your piece of paper that I give you, was the compactor. $2,203.17. That was So we took money from ARPA to pay for the compactor. But the issue is we didn't know how much it was gonna cost us to have that compactor hooked up. And when you did that, with ARPA being the way it's laid out, we couldn't put money aside. Right. We had to have an exact amount. All right, had to be designated for that item. Exactly. So I absorbed this cost out of.
It's not been absorbed. We'll need an additional for that and for the IDM.
Oh, this ain't
Because
been paid for?
those have not been paid for. No.
Oh,
That's not out of the first one. That first one that is the scales, well, that's what you're asking the transfer for tonight from the disposal fees
okay,
over to equipment.
okay.
So will that make the disposal fees run short for the
It
year?
will, yeah.
So,
The only thing that is hopefully we will recoup more money, have to bring it in, because I know we sent a invoice to Austin last week for, I think it was around $4,000.
So we,
So
I mean, if we spent 75 out of 140, and just quick math, we're roughly spending 12.5 a month
I
in
think
disposal fees. That sounds about right.
yeah, hang on, I think I pulled up the.
I just don't want to get to the
Well,
point that
that's
we
the-
have a vendor, we don't have money in a line to pay.
And we will need, if you transfer that, you're gonna need an additional at the end of the year to pay it. But with that, we may have collected more that will help, that will go back into the general.
once the scales are in place, then we'll actually be receiving legitimate amount of dollars coming in, but we can't estimate what that's going to be.
Early in your talk, and I open the can of worms and say, are we keeping the collection sites, or can we use the money it's in? this
Actually, there's-
towards this?
We are, I think there was $1,500 left in the collection site. When's at the end of May?
So there ain't no money in there.
There's not. And honestly, there's been 2 more payments go out because of the 1st of June, June 6th. There would have been payments went out for Campbell's for the month of June. But we haven't sold stickers because we're in limbo. We're not sure. I think we only got like 280 stickers left in the office here for people to purchase. And that's how we generate income for that.
So even the $1,500 wouldn't even
That's,
offset the
yeah.
compactor install.
Sorry. Yeah, here's the SASCO back program, but I want you guys to realize that, and I'm talking to the other commissioners now, I don't know where this stands. But as far as the SASCO back program, it shows, when you look at this paper, that it's doing good. Or it's breaking even, right? Or, making a little bit here and there. The problem
This
is,
doesn't cover any of it.
this doesn't reflect the cost of what we're paying to get rid of anything.
Right.
So it's putting us in the hole.
I think we need to go ahead and get that finished, because the quicker we get that online, the quicker revenue's gonna start rolling in off of it. And I understand it goes into the county general fund, and then you're gonna have to come back in and ask for it back. But hope, by the end of the year, when you're talking additional appropriation, if we get that thing up and running and get them sites closed, we should have enough revenue there to be able to basically pay this back. We're too deep in to quit now. I mean, we've got to get that done.
I have a concern, and you just said it a minute ago, I'm not too sure the other 2 commissioners are on this. I think they all voted for it in the beginning, didn't they?
Oh, no.
Do the
We're
scales?
talking about 2 different things. Now, they voted for this, the scales. I'm talking about the SASCO back program, closing it.
Yeah, I get that.
Oh,
But what I was concerned was the satellite places, the 3 we have.
mhm.
At the last meeting I watched, and your concern was, if you don't close the satellites down, the scales won't be effective.
The scales will show exactly how much you're going
Now, I
in
get that,
the hole with that satellite program.
but what I heard at the meeting was, if we don't close those satellites down, we're wasting time on the scales.
You're asked, yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I like the help here, But I gotta know what you guys are gonna do on satellite before I jump in and spend $25,000 more dollars. Are you gonna close them down or not? That's what I need to know. And I don't think that decision's been made.
The decision has not been made by the other two commissioners.
Yeah.
That's correct. But here's the thing, when you put that scale in place, it's gonna show everybody what that satellite locations are really costing us. The problem, and this has been the problem for years out there, there's no reflection of how much money you lose. The only way to get any kind of reflection at all is to have the scales.
Well, I get it, but for me to vote vote $25,000 more dollars, I wanna know where we're going. And right now, I don't know. I know we want the scales done. I understand that, and I even voted for it.
I don't care what you guys do.
But my concern is we gotta make a decision, to me, anyway, on where we're going with satellite programs. And that's your guys' decision.
Yeah.
And if that happens, I'll be ready to take another look at it. But at the moment, that's where I am.
We also, we're too deep in it to quit, in my opinion.
Well, we are, but we can get deeper in it. So anyway, I understand.
I'd like to go ahead and just throw a motion out there to, transfer the 25,788.86 and get that online. The more we drag our feet, the worse shape we're gonna be in with it.
So you're making a motion to accept the transfer request for $25,788.86.
Yep.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
I second.
So second, which is on resolution 2025-5, that is for the transfer. A motion by Jonathan White, second by John Miller, for the transfer of $25,788.86 from disposal fees to equipment within the transfer station line. Any questions or comments from council? All in favor of that transfer? I'll make that number 443. Get that done. All right, so that part's done.
Yes. Now, the IDM issues that goes all the way back to 2012. I have went and got quotes on everything to give us, put some numbers, what we're looking at on that. And that comes to $21,705. Which will start accumulating fines.
And this will be, and they're gonna fine us after they've let it sit since 2012. I hate that. What do we?
I don't want to be a smart aleck or nothing. I mean, if you look at the top, it says dumpster covers and frames, and they're complaining about them being open at nighttime because we all know it doesn't rain during the day, right?
Yeah, I missed that. What's the trough?
Oh, the open top dumpster that is the old open top dumpster, it never did have a drainway going to the concrete pad. So that goes back 40 years.
On the tornado debris removal, what our highway guys want overtime?
This is Kevin's bid, for him and his guys to do it.
So it's technically paying the highway department to do that?
Mm-hmm. I reached out to Earth Solutions. I never received anything back. I did reach out to Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown was at $5,000.
Randy, is this salaries they'd be paying? I mean, what is a 35.50? I know what it's for.
Yeah,
it's trucking, overtime,
Fuel.
probably some fuel.
Salaries.
Overtime, fuel.
Okay, it's one excavator, 5 dump trucks,
What's it down?
water truck, labor, 8 equipment trucks operators, man hours, 80 hours, labor, $2,850, fuel at $700.
Have any idea how long it take to get rid of it? I mean,
I would rather.
How long?
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll get it.
Thank you.
We need to get rid of it pretty fast.
Well, I agree with you. I didn't know if there was any.
Just out of curiosity, it's just piled up out there.
Yeah, back in 2012, tornado went through.
So we're gonna pick it up, put it in trucks and haul it somewhere else and dump it
Yeah.
to pile it up?
Well, yes. Burn it. We're gonna burn it. We can't burn out there.
I mean, it makes perfect sense if you don't think about it.
Yeah. We can't burn it out there.
Yeah.
In order to
burn out
burn it,
there
they have to dig a hole.
because you gotta have a permit, and they want you to dig it,
Gotcha.
dig
Okay.
a belly.
Belly, put it in.
And the trouble is out there, when you dig a belly, guess what you get? Trash.
No, I'm asking questions again, forgive me, right here, but that 35,150,
What was you, about 8 inches?
once we move it, is there gonna be another fee to move it where we're taking it?
No.
Is this everything, 35.50?
Yes.
What is the time frame to having all this done, Randy? Where you don't get fined again or whatever?
Okay, getting it moved?
Yeah.
Kevin? He's asking about time frame.
I'm not about what that, I don't know if you gotta do all this.
Oh,
Get all this.
I think as long as you're showing improvement, they'll work with you.
Well, we have a meeting with them on the 19th of
19th.
June, and I think that'll be discussed in the.
If we could get it moved by the 19th, it would be very beneficial.
Okay, that's not an accident.
Maybe not for them. Maybe not for them. huh?
That's what I was so surprised.
Same way, I guess same with roadway repairs. Kevin gonna do that as well, or is that something we have to hire someone else to do? Or can our county guys do the roadway repairs out there? That's $5,800.
Oh, no, that's us. That's paving.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So we can do that with our guys and our paper and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
I'm sorry, you threw me
No,
off
you're fine.
on roadway repairs, it wasn't. Okay, roadway repairs is, so where the drive goes, slats down and goes back into where they pick up all the hook onto the dumpsters and receptacles. The driveway had been falling through for a long time, but anyway, it's basically just to keep from putting dirt down in the ground deeper. Or not dirt, I'm sorry, stop putting trash down in the ground.
Randy, you probably already told me, it went right by me, but I'm reading here right, this is gonna go to Tri-Hawk.
Yes.
Now, how's it we can burn it there but not out here? I'm just curious, I'm asking questions.
The
Okay,
property
you
we
need a
own is
permit.
Tri-Hawk.
You need a permit to burn it out at the transfer station.
And you don't out here?
The difference is, and we can get a permit at the transfer station,
Yeah,
but once you get 12 inches down, you start running into trash. And so they want you to dig a hole and they want you to put this in it, they want you to burn it, and they want you to cover it.
it's gonna be a pretty major fire.
We're gonna be in a mess.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get down 6 inches, again, you're in the trash. Now you're burning off a whole hill.
But when we say Tri-Hawk, just, I know we're live now, we got people listening. This isn't the Tri-Hawk business, this is the property the county
Just
owns.
property.
Yeah, that's what I was,
And we already
in my
have-
mind, I'm trying to figure this
I just
out.
don't want somebody to think we're going to
We
the
already-
parking lot and starting a fire, because that is not the case.
Well, I think it's a good idea, but in my mind, I'm saying it's gonna be a pretty
So
major.
basically, right now, the reason we're taking it to trial is because anytime we have a storm come through and then trees go down, that's where they go. They go out to Tri-Hawk because we can burn it out there. It doesn't hurt nothing. It's
No complaints from
No
neighbors, nothing like
complaints.
that? Okay. Good thinking. I just,
All right,
Yeah.
so the 21,705 would be an additional from.
And it's
general.
not been advertised, yeah.
It
That
is
would have
not,
to be.
okay.
That, there was two amounts there, that was, I passed those out, didn't keep one, I don't think. You know, here, okay, on the compactor install, that 220317, we'll need an additional to pay that off. And then the 21,705 for IDM, that'll require an additional.
So you're gonna need a little $2,400 to write a $2,400 to pay. 24,000, yeah, to pay.
Do you want me to advertise that for the July meeting?
Do you know where you're gonna get that from?
Well, I was hoping you guys would transfer that from that same thing, because that way, like I said, we got a meeting with IBM on the 19th. And the more things we could get knocked off this list, the less chances we are of getting hit by the big fine.
How much is it currently?
Well, let me, I thought I had one pulled off. I've got Sasko and something else, but not an opioid, but not that.
Here's the way I see it. We can transfer out of that same fund,
I think it still has to be advertised.
replenish that same fund next month with an additional.
Still gonna be advertised on.
And, yeah, that's why I say next month.
Yeah.
That would get this IDEM mess over with before they're coming out there the 19th. Cause I was out there the other day when they, guy come out there and they are not happy.
Now,
Yeah, 2012, days, okay.
yeah.
2012, days, okay, since then.
No, honestly, they've been hitting us. They've been hitting us
And then they.
forever. Ever since I've been in office, they have been wanting us to fix it. The trouble is, we didn't have no money. I mean,
Maybe it's time we start to say.
Does that look right, Jim?
Fix this problem.
I was gonna say, it looks like we've got, currently we've got 76,242.43 left in disposal fees.
I'm on the wrong year. I was waiting at last year's pay.
Is there anything still left in the venture or timber fund?
There's nothing.
there is, but it's
They're
progress
used for the
now.
scales.
We have $28,975 left, but it's gotta go to,
Oh,
Well, Randy, let me ask you this question, since the highway department's gonna do some of this, can they go ahead and do the work and just get paid in July? Or that would help, a time period, would that do that if we did that, since it's not been advertised?
Kendall, is that all right?
I mean, that would help.
We get the debris and the road repairs done, that might help.
Yeah, get the debris hauled off and then get to maybe the road work on.
Well, we can do that. That'll knock,
I don't know.
so that will hold us off on the 5,800.
We'd be setting.
No, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
We'd be setting at 50,454.
That would save us $3,550 for now.
Yeah.
Took
I'm
another
saying, yeah.
25, that would only leave you.
Now we'll get some action going out there and where, they come in and not.
Like I said,
So,
we
see
we
what
send
trying
an
to
invoice to
done.
Austin.
The sign
Besides
needs
what
to
they
be paid
collect
for.
anyway.
That's $800.
It's 4,000 something, but it
So
didn't
you think
start
that's
until the
monthly?
May 12th.
Do you think that's monthly?
No, because that only started on
Yeah.
May 12th.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't think it's
Been in
quite,
violation since.
I think it's a little more than half a month, but
And
no.
it's, I mean, we're talking something as little as, the sign doesn't say, in case of emergency, dial 911.
That's great.
Well,
So what you were saying is transferred out of that same line behind you, if you want to turn around, it's 76,242.43 in that account. If we take the 25, which we agreed to transfer, that'd leave you only 50,000 in there. You're looking at 12,500 a month. They usually
I'll
send
bet we're
you,
doing more than that when we start taking Austin. I think these next ones will be bigger because we got bigger.
and they usually only bill us every 90 days
I
or
think
something.
I think they're a little closer than they used to be. When we first came in, yeah, you didn't get a bill forever, but I think they're running a little quicker now than they did.
Well, we can fix the problem next month. It didn't get advertised for this time.
Let's say, if you want to do an advertisement, if you don't, if you want a resolution, I can go back here and make one real quick.
I mean, that's a.
Because that way you can,
Resolution that comes from that same line.
it would come from the same line as what you just took it out of, but it would go, instead of going into the 4,200 equipment line, it'd go into the 37,002 equipment line. And both of those say equipment, but actually the 137,002 should be equipment and repairs.
Which
It's not capital.
Kevin says his guys can start doing the roadway repairs and the debris removal right away. That would really only leave the frames that they want you to have on them dumpsters. A couple of those and that sign. And then
well, but we're also holding off on these back here where this has already
those
been
are
done,
being
but
held.
it needs paid.
The roadway, I think if we do the roadway repair, it's gonna get into his budget line as far as what he's gotta do this spring. And that's gonna get into his road money.
Which, I mean, we're just talking a month, I can put that back.
Yeah. So the debris removal he asked about, we can do on overtime. I can't, I guess kind of explain it. I can't pull my whole crew out there to work.
No, nor would I expect.
But I got guys willing to come in and work on overtime, so we can come in and clean that in up in a day. I'll bring 8 guys in and we'll knock it out in a day and get it hauled out. On the road repair, I can do my here and there work
Yeah,
and no overtime. We'll sketch it here and there. But I don't think you're getting dinged on your road.
right,
I think your main concern is your
the debris.
debris removal.
And I think if we're making some effort, they're gonna
Yeah.
be a little bit understanding
For the June 19th meeting.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of is we do some of it, yeah, we're good, but I just don't want them dinging us with a fine.
No, I
and
agree.
around. That's cost us that much more money too.
Well, and I guess
That
my
was
other
the word that the other day,
issue is we
they had
got
about patient
vendors
enough.
that haven't been paid.
Right, that's what I'd like to get done, is at least get a resolution or something for that, if we can get that done.
So what's the next thing on your list that they're dinging you hard on?
Well,
Is the sign
The
issue?
sign issue, that dumpster cover and frames.
Wonder if we could float that till next month, if we added the sign onto this $2,200 and did a resolution to transfer that much, that would leave more in that line.
The dumpster cover and frames have not been made yet. We're building them. It works out that they're the same cost, right? Well, actually, they're cheaper. But if we build them, they're cheaper. And when you poke a hole through them, you can just fix one piece of steel instead of having to buy a whole new thing.
We were saying there were $12,000 for one
Yes.
dumpster cover.
Yes.
So
But they haven't been built yet. And
You
you'll
think-
have,
you think,
so you'll have time from here to the time they're built, and then until the time you get an invoice.
that's what I was gonna say.
I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah, that's what, I think we're on the same page. We're thinking like that would get us by till July 8th is our next meeting. I think we would have an invoice to pay for them.
But like I say, if you're showing, and you know, that you're moving the debris and turn on the road and get a sign and this other building, I think that's gonna show that we're trying anyway.
I'm just nervous about transferring the 21,000 from that account.
Oh, that's fine. I'm trying to work with you through.
Yeah, and I am too. And I think if we did the 2,200 to get people paid on the back, and then if Jennifer would add the 800 for the sign, you could get it ordered. Do a resolution on that, you think?
Just on these two, I can go make that right now, so it'll be about
You think that'd be,
$3,000.
you think that'd be fair, and then we
Yeah.
float the other stuff until next month?
We're just talking about something here.
Let me go make that.
Well,
Yeah, we'll take it down.
This is already been done.
Yeah.
That needs to be paid.
Okay.
So we're trying to get a resolution for
Bill,
this.
the other thing,
For the signs.
it's like,
By the way, the rest of this, the county is gonna cover.
You think we can order it like we
Do
did
we
the
need additional?
Yeah,
covers, and then by the
Well,
time we
Yeah,
get
we'll
an
have to pull
invoice?
some more out of that
Yeah.
fund, but it won't be the
we can't have just
20,000, it
one
won't be
picture
the
that I have.
3,000.
Which song? I'm trying to get you.
Well, see, there's so what's
She's
coming
gonna
out
do-
with the money.
She's gonna do a resolution for the 800 for the sign.
But this
And
is
the
just
bills
for
that
the
we owe
IDM issue.
back here
Yes,
for the
yes.
compactor that we haven't paid.
Maybe I
for
didn't have it.
vendors wait.
Well, I mean, that would pay it fine.
22,317 plus
Yeah.
If we get some of them, maybe they'll be, say, hey, at least
Yeah.
you're trying.
3 something
One, like Patrick, experience with them, they do that if.
close.
If you're working, yeah, you're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, $3,003.17 would take care of all of those items. Then we could do the others on the July meeting to get them taken care of.
Then we may have some more income coming in by then too, so.
Does that sound fair? That way we don't take another 20,000 from that
Yes.
line, but we're getting, I mean, the $2,000 in bills really isn't his fault in this project. It was something we overlooked on that, our ARPA stuff.
Well, we really had no idea what the dollar amount was gonna be anyway, on the
Yes.
ARPA funds.
Yes.
Are we, so we going to go ahead and fix the road and then pay for that later?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do Kevin's stuff in July, we'll do the appropriation for all the rest of this, which will be the trough, the dumpster covers, the handrail, the tornado removal, roadway repairs. Kevin's taking care of those.
That trough, what that is, just so you guys know,
Just
what
a
it is.
concrete trough.
No, it's a metal trough that's going to be fastened to the side of the concrete pad where that, and direct the leach at.
Out of the back of it.
Yeah, it's basically a 1/4 inch.
That's a lot of 1/4 inch plate if that's 3655.
Well, it's got a bung in it. Everything else drained. It's got
Must be pretty bone too.
filter. I don't know. Screen. I said filter. It's got screens in it and stuff. It's a real high dollar.
Was it stainless?
No.
Basically, an old
Yeah, why don't you
thing.
pass that down?
All right,
It's a real high dollar gutter.
so we're all back in here. We're on resolution number 6. So on resolution 2025-6, it's a resolution to transfer appropriation between major budget classifications. So this would take that from the disposal fees to equipment in the amount of $3,003.17. That'll take care of your sign and the money we spent for the compactor. And then we have a plan on the other stuff, and we'll put it on the agenda for July.
I'd make a motion to do that.
I'll second it.
Motion to accept by Jonathan White with a second from John Collins. All in favor of that transfer? Any opposed?
7-0. Hopefully that helps you, Randy. Hopefully that gets you going right there.
No, that will.
And then I guess
I mean, just knowing I can move forward with this stuff, I help. There's a lot of this stuff I can do myself, but I just.
Can you just keep us in the loop on where you guys are at on the collection sites? I know you're working on that, but I know that was
Issue.
a question, and rightfully so.
It is.
Honestly, I think your collection sites are gonna close themselves.
Well, I think that or the contract we have, which costs, according to last year, around $54,000, is gonna have to drastically change to where that person's gonna have to pay some of the disposal fee or something.
Well, yeah, in your first year, and then next year be offset.
But, all right, at least we got a plan on that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. You've done a lot of work out there. I know you have on your own. I appreciate you.
Jennifer, just to catch you up on that resolution of number 6.
Okay.
There was a motion from Jonathan White to accept as read, second by Collins. 7-0 passed. And then that is going to take care of, just so you know, because you have to do some advertising stuff. That's gonna take care of those bills for
That are
The compactor.
compactor, the $2,000 on that. And then that also will cover the sign that they need out there. And then we will advertise the tornado debris, the roadway work,
The trough.
the trough, the handrail, and those dumpster covers and frames all.
So really, then on the other IDM issues, you just take off the 800 and everything else. Whatever.
Yes, and then advertise everything else for July for us on additional. And I guess you guys want an additional out of general, or that's where it's
I
gonna.
don't know where else it would come from. And the thing is, this money, the other little form that you got that showed how you've done for the last 3 years, that does go back into the general, what's collected down there.
All right, any other questions before we close that portion out? Nope, all right, good. Next up was to address some of your questions, the updates to what I've called all along, the hidden tax or the lawsuit from the sheriff. Yeah, go ahead.
We have one more general fund.
What is it?
It was the 44,000 for the insurance claim payout.
Oh, where we need to,
Yeah.
I
In
agree.
case-
Let me see it real quick. I'll see.
That's basically a transfer. isn't it?
It's actually just
Sorry.
going into a fund and it's gonna sit there and hopefully we will not have any insurance claims, but if we do, it's readily available that we can pay the claim quickly. But if we don't, it's just gonna go right, it'll revert right back to the general fund. It won't be a problem.
Yeah. Now that 44, there's a little bit already in there, is that correct?
Yeah, there's
8.
6, 8, something like that, yeah.
So we're talking maybe 50,000 total or.
That's what they asked us to put was 50,000 and that'll be right at that number there. We just did more than.
She advertised, I'll just.
I think 34 was the last one. Look, you might want to look in that stack. I think 34, I think 35 will be the next one.
Yes, I have 34, so this will be 35. All right, so like Jennifer was explaining, this is from the general fund going to that insurance claim payout. This is where we, for lack of better words, became self-insured back in January, and we're supposed to carry $50,000 in an account to pay insurance claims, and we kind of overlooked it and haven't done that. So this is moving money in the amount of $44,000 from the general fund to that. If we don't get any insurance claims, it'll revert back at the end of the year. If we do, we have 50,000 to start before we have to put more money in. So I'd entertain a motion to accept that additional.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
John Lisby's made the motion, second by Jonathan White. Any questions or comments from council on this? All in favor? Any opposed, same sign? 7-0 on that. Sorry,
Okay,
I
that's
overlooked
it.
that one. So, back to what we were gonna talk about. Kind of what got us here is in 2024, I'm gonna give some generic numbers, try to skim through this because I'm tired of beating this dead horse, but 2024, our sheriff was given a budget, correct me if I'm wrong in any of these rough numbers, Jennifer, but of $3.1 million to run the sheriff's office. With additional appropriations from the council, it went to about 3.8, and we were over that by $1.5 million at the end of the year, roughly. Does that sound about fair?
Our total additionals last year were 1.6 million.
Okay. And so we overspent the budget pretty drastically. Well, in budget time, with talking to the State Board of Accounts, the Department of Local Government Finance, the decision was made to put a quarterly budget out, which is kind of unheard of, never been done. So that's what we did. We put together a budget which would have had $4,096,000 for the year for the sheriff's office. Would have been somewhat of an increase from the original budget, but not quite as much as what he actually spent in 24. So given that, that would roughly break down in quarters to around 1.7 million for sake of math. That was given to him. He obviously didn't like it. He has the right as a sheriff along with a judge to sue the county or mandate the county. And so that's the route that he took. He mandated us with a judgment mandate. We had to hire a attorney for the county that is a litigation attorney. So we went with the advice of our legal counsel, the legal counsel of the commissioners, and hired a attorney that would help us through the litigation. He also hired an attorney or an attorney firm. Those fees, I guess you would say, or bills were pretty astronomical from his side. Ours, not as much. But we were told a few weeks ago that there is no win. There's no win for this for the citizens of Scott County because you foot the bill for every bit of it. When a sheriff mandates something or sues the county, he doesn't pay a dime for anything. So he files a lawsuit or a mandate, as it's called, and it doesn't cost him anything. This body has to pay his attorney fees, our attorney fees, all of this litigation stuff that really isn't going anywhere. So at the point we were told it's a lose-lose battle. You can either fight it, you can go to court, they felt pretty strongly that a judge was going to say what he requested wasn't drastically unreasonable and would probably give him some amount of money more than $4,096,000. So then you would be out that. We also were told that if he went to court, his attorney fees would be somewhere in the $300,000 range. So with that information, this council didn't like the idea, but we agreed to a settlement, if you will. That settlement came in last week, signed by a judge, and it is for $4,400,000 roughly.
I think it is it's a little more than that, I believe, $4 million.
So somewhere around just shy of $4.5 million for sake of math. That money we could have either spent fighting and maybe won or not. And I'm not willing to gamble citizens' tax dollars on a maybe. So whenever we were told more likely than not, you would spend $300,000 to go to court, you may or may not win. You may or may not spend out more money. We agreed to the settlement. We accepted it. And personally, I'm ready to close that book. I'm ready to be done talking about it. And we just are going to have to move on figuring out how to pay for it. I will tell you that there's going to have to be some additional appropriations to get his budget to where it is ordered by the court. We've requested that Jennifer will take the budget form, the lines of what has been spent year to date, what needs to be put in there, and lay it all out, in which if we can get that, I'll schedule a special meeting or whatever. But my intention is to take it from my computer, put it on that screen. Everybody gets to see it. You get to see where we're at. This is what he requested. This is what we agreed to. The one high point, I guess, of having a judge agreement is there's some stipulations that our sheriff has to follow, in which he has to stay within his budget. He can't go $1.5 million over his budget in 25. The agreement is he will stay there. He will turn in some commissary reports, adequate commissary reports, which this body's never actually got to see, to us in a timely fashion. A couple other things. The agreement's available to whoever wants to see it. It's no secret. That too, in that meeting, we can post if anybody wants to see it on that board. But that's where we're at. And then moving forward, we have one more year of Mr. Gooden being our sheriff before his time is turned out, someone else gets elected. We have to figure out taxing for our citizens to cover the change from a budget of 3.1 to 3.8 million range to $4.5 million range. So I can't sit here and tell you that your taxes aren't going to increase. I don't know that yet. As soon as I do, I will tell you that. I will tell you that either the options on the table, as far as I can see, is either taxing of the citizens is going to increase to pay that, or cutting of services in this county is going to decrease to take that money and give to it to pay that. Because we don't have, as anybody can see in any of these meetings, an excess amount of funds laying around. The money that Jennifer talked about tonight is setting in an account. If we use it, it's like using it out of your savings account at home. Once you use it, it's gone and it's not coming back. The $1.5 million that was taken in 24, I've said before, and I'll stand by it. I think it would take probably 10 years of the amount of savings that this county can do to recoup $1.5 million. So to change our sheriff's budget by $600,000, which it'll increase next year, I can tell you it'll have to just about, or you're going to get another mandate, more money, more fighting. It's going to go up, and it's got to come from somewhere. There's only two options: raise taxes, cut services. And what a lot of people in this county don't understand is I can't take highway funds and pay the sheriff. I can't take EMS funds and pay the sheriff. Those funds don't cross. They're much operated like complete separate entities. The highway department, sorry, Kevin, I keep pointing at you, but he's the director of the highway department. For anybody who doesn't know, that's taxed separately, and that money has to be spent on roads, bridges, things of that nature. health department is funded by a grant. That grant got cut drastically by the state. Their department's going to look much different next year. I can tell you that right now sitting here. But I can't take health department funds. Like she talked about having to send money back from grants. We can't just take that and offset this. It doesn't work like that. Hang on one second, Richard. I'll get to you, I promise. Same with EMS. They bring their money in from revenue of runs and things that they do. And as a government, you're not allowed to take that money and subsidize the sheriff's office. So the only options you have currently is a LIT, which is a local income tax that's put on the citizens. And we have two of those right now. We have a LIT public safety and a LIT special purpose. The current LIT special purpose is only for the jail. It can only be used in the jail. The LIT public safety portions of it, a large portion is the sheriff's, but a portion of it is used to offset some funding for Nick at EMS, which is why he talked about changes in his budget, because he's probably not gonna get that next year. Also, we spend some of that on our prosecutor's office. Excuse me, when we spend some of it on our 911 center that is county funded. So it doesn't just go to him, so you can't just, you could, or we could as a body, pull that money from the prosecutor and tell him, hey, you lost the prosecutor, we're gonna pay the sheriff. You could do that. He's gonna turn around and get the judge to mandate another prosecutor. We could close our 911 center, but what are you gonna do then? You have to have somebody to answer the phone when you call 911, so they're pretty slim pickings on the money over there right now anyways. So.
Don't forget the cut we got from the state on property taxes too.
Yep. With that, coupled with Senate Bill 1, it's gonna be tough next year. And I don't honestly, can't sit here tonight on June the 10th and tell you what's gonna happen. But I can tell you that I will be very transparent with everybody. And as soon as I can get some numbers from the Baker Tilly Corporation, I will get them to you. If we learn something on the 20th when we're in Indianapolis, we'll get that to you. If it takes special meetings, whatever, I'm willing to do it to keep the community informed as well as I can. But the reality is, sheriff was given a budget. He didn't like it. He mandated. He's got more money. It's going to come from somewhere. So I know you had questions first. I tried to answer some of those, but what more do you have? And then I'll get you.
What was the cost of the lawsuits?
The total cost of all of the
It was,
attorneys is around 400. Is that what it was?
no, Mr. Capes, which is the sheriff's attorney, so far we've paid $83,504. And that was with the last bills that we have. Mr. Hansford that we had was $25,707.32, and our mediation was $2,025. So far, for the bills that we've received, unless there's more that's still straggling, we have $111,236.58 is what we paid for litigation.
So all in, we're probably gonna be, let's say, 125,000 for the sake of math, if more bills or something come in. I know the sheriff's attorney agreed in this agreement to cap his bill at $85,000 as long as we didn't go to court, which we did not. So it shouldn't be any higher than 85,000. Ours was around 25,000. Then we tried mediation. That didn't really work too well, but we spent a couple $1,000 on that. So with that, we were looking at jumping from the 100 range, 125 range to 300,000 or 400,000 within a couple of weeks is what we were told if they started doing, they being both sides. It's not one-sided, it's both sides would have done depositions and things like that in order to go to court. It is in that agreement that if we have a problem moving forward, we have to go back to mediation to try to hash it out. My intention is just, let's try to work with it. Let's get the numbers nailed down. Jennifer's office is working very hard on trying to take the budget, put the numbers in there as well, you know, what's been used year to date versus what was granted within that agreement and what the sheriff needs to get through the year, or, you know, what he wants to get through the year, I guess you should say. But that's kind of where we're at. I'd say 125 is probably roughly what it cost.
I would really like to see the council work with the sheriff instead of having an adversarial relationship and talking about a gooden tax. I think is an unfair, I don't think it's fair to call it a gooden tax because there's no such thing as a gooden tax. That's just something that has been made up to disparage the sheriff. Now, I'm not saying everything the sheriff does is correct, and I'm not saying everything you guys do is wrong.
No.
I really appreciate everyone on the board because it takes people to get involved in their community to make things happen. And I have to hope that you're all doing the best job that you can for the county. But when we see these lawsuits and money just flying everywhere and nobody knows how much money we have or where it's going, you know, the citizens get concerned because like you say, we're gonna be picking up the tab for all this.
I agree with you 100%.
So I'm just saying, please, council, work with the sheriff, try to avoid lawsuits, and I think the sheriff is important.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, there's crime around here, and he kind of keeps it tapped down a little bit, you know?
And the sheriff's office as a whole has some excellent employees there, and there's some good deputies in this community, and we can't function without them. Ultimately, you know, they keep the people who are in trouble where they need to be, and all of us safe at night while we're sleeping. So we have to have them. I would love to work with the sheriff. I would have loved to work with him through this, but I can't take from someone else to give to him, and I still don't like to, and I don't want to. There's hard decisions was made in employee raises, and there's many people, including some of the people here tonight, that come to work every day that they still make the exact same as they did in 2024 because we didn't have the money to give them a raise. And it's not fair to those employees that work full-time here, give their heart and soul, and they don't have the ability to mandate this body to get the raises that he did.
Well, I mean, he used the legal mechanism, so.
I'm fighting that at the state level because I don't agree with it. So, but yeah, we can name it whatever you want. I hope we don't have to have a tax. I hope we can get through this and skim by and something will happen, but I'll name it whatever you
I
want.
realize what you're saying about the raises, and I do think people deserve a raise every year, incremental raise. But if we don't have the money, is that really a good idea?
It's not, but the people who don't have the right to mandate a board give them money, do they get punished while someone who does have a legal mechanism gets a $10,000 a year pay raise?
I understand what you're saying, but we're gonna pick all this, we're gonna get stuck with the tax money.
I agree with you. Me too. I'm gonna get up and go to work and pay it the same as all the rest of us.
I'm just saying, if we don't have money, maybe the raises, don't get a raise this year, you know, or maybe a bonus if you can, but you have to know how much money we're gonna have before you.
Right, and I agree with that, but I also want to see, and the reason I asked for that document is just so I can see a hard number of what that is going to cost to change that, or do we go bonus route? You know, I'm not saying 100%, but I'm sold on everybody's going to get a whatever raise. I'm just saying something needs to be given to them before I sit here and agree to spend money on much else, because I feel like I'm not a union steward. We don't have a union of employees, but somebody's got to be a voice for the people who can't. They don't have the right to come in here and slap a lawsuit on this table and say, pay my people this. And I don't think that's right. So that's for me. But what do you think?
Are you going to have to raise taxes?
I don't know. I don't know what 26 taxes are gonna look like. If you got some way of telling me, I'd love to hear it, but nobody in the state level can tell me what we are gonna bring in revenue in 26 as of today.
That Senate Bill 1 certainly has created a lot of problems for all municipalities.
Sure.
When do you think you're gonna have some?
So on the 10th, which is 10 days, we go to Indianapolis to meet with some of the people that decided that. And I'm hoping to get some information from there. And that's kind of what Baker Tilly Corporation has told us is they're hoping by the end of this month to have some numbers nailed down. Anybody got anything else? You good?
Good.
All right, I appreciate you being here. Do you have anything, sir? No, thank you for being here tonight. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this.
Oh, we
meeting.
did your minutes.
Oh, you got me. Thought we were out.
Oh, shit.
You need me to sign somewhere?
We need to move to approve them. I move to approve the minutes.
And you've
I'll
got
second
you got the April ones because we wanted to hold those again because, we had people missing at the last meeting. You've got the May ones and then you've got the joint special. And just FYI, Darren Bates, who does a lot of our work with excise tax and things, has offered to come down and talk to you if you'd like. And I will say, Darren is incredibly intelligent, like over my head intelligent. But if you would like, he would offer to come. So.
Collins made a motion to accept these minutes. John Miller's made a second. That would be for May, both documents, and April, and then a joint session. So all combined, motion on the table, a second. Six
Who
oh.
was second?
I'll second it.
John Miller.
I move we adjourn.
Motion on the floor to adjourn, second, Miller, all in favor?
So is the 6-0 on the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know what now?
And then, help me, I'm sorry, the motion to adjourn is John Collins, right?
I second it.
And Daniel, okay. 6-0, all right. Yeah.
I'm gonna do at that meeting, I'm gonna keep paid for me.